what I want people to encounter is beauty, truth, and goodness, which is Christ. I know for Josh and I, both of our hopes is that people will come because it's beautiful and they will contemplate the themes, and that it will compel them in their own lives. And where that compelling leads, that's going to be between, their soul and God.
Today, we're speaking with Jessica Jordan, producer, and Josh Jordan, director of the new film El Tonto Por Cristo, which translates to The Fool for Christ. The film tells the story of Father John, an unconventional monk in a Texas monastery who lives as a holy fool, taking on the suffering of others through miraculous acts of compassion. The film has already been received positively across the Orthodox community here in the United States. We're excited to talk with Josh and Jessica about bringing this remarkable story to the screen. Jessica, nice to meet you and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Father Chris.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about the film? Give us sort of an overview, if you would.
Yeah, so El Tonto Por Cristo is about a brotherhood of monks that live on the Texas coast, and they are inching their way towards sainthood while struggling with their own condition. And it's told through the lives of this small group of monks and the central character, Father John. It's also told in vignettes. So while the tale is, linear in aspects, you're looking at it through the lives of these different conditions from this brotherhood of monks.
And tell us a little bit about your personal background. I mean, what made you want to do this?
Yeah, so this film was birthed from a conversation that Josh and I had over salsa and chips. We were newly Orthodox, so we're Orthodox converts, as many Americans are, and we are now 12 years Orthodox. But we're coming off of our first feature film that we had done. This World Won't Break. We had come off the festival circuit, and I had recently read a book called Scent of Holiness around that time, and I was really moved by a particular story that was recalled in this book about a particular monk that felt like he failed at all of his obediences. Yet he would go into the temple in the evening, and in his former life, he was an acrobat, and he was acrobatics before the icons. And an attending monk saw this and thought that this was very disrespectful and brought another monk in to see this. And as he was what was perceived as giving his offering back to Christ, another monk saw in his spiritual eyes Christ come off the icon and bless this monk. And I remember reading that story and I was just weeping, because our backgrounds in entertainment and being converts that came into the faith, there's so many people that they're brilliant, they're scholarly, they're academics, they speak multiple languages, they play multiple instruments. And here Josh and I, our background is in stage performance, and I've toured with a band for over 25 years, and I felt like, what can we give back? And so we started to talk a little bit about the Holy Fool. We had watched The Island, as many converts have, because there's not a lot of media out there. So that's one of the films you watch, Ostrov. And so we started to imagine what that might look like here in America. While there's biopics and there are documentaries, there's nothing that felt quite like being an American that's also Orthodox. And so my husband, he is a filmmaker. He's also a stage actor and an actor himself. So that's where the conversation started. It was really our gift back, like something that we could do together. So that was the inspiration of this film.
Orthodox spirituality and the concept of the Holy Fool might be unfamiliar to many viewers. How did you approach introducing this world and these ideas to an audience that may be encountering them for the first time?
Well, I think because it's in the cinematic space and it's a narrative feature, it allows for, even if people aren't, whether they're not Orthodox, whether they're not even Christian, which is a good percentage of our audience as well, they're seeing this as cinema, as story. And there's a lot of people in our modern culture that, for one reason or another, don't prescribe to a particular faith. Maybe they were wounded in some way, or whatever their story might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they identify as spiritual but not religious. So while Orthodox are going to see this film and more so understand the storyline, the story of the Holy Fool that's woven into this fictional film is actually inspired by true accounts of lives of saints. So anything that seems like fantastical, perhaps, it actually happened. Now, these are many fantastical type experiences written into this 2 hour and 14-minute film. But for those that are watching it as cinema, they're going to take it in as cinema, where the storyline unfolds, whether you fully grasp the nuance or not. And for others, they're going to identify from stories that are part of their faith tradition. So we believe that good cinema, as a good art, should stir something in the soul and prompt
Sure.
conversation to happen, to not spoon feed you, to allow that space for contemplation and more conversation. And that's what we hope, and actually what we've seen happen out of this film. You know, a lot of our early investors would consider themselves the spiritual but not religious type. And when we did a courtesy screening back in October, which is common to do after you've locked a picture, last October, and the feedback we had from these people that had invested in the film, again, not identifying with any religion per se, was, oh my gosh, this was so beautiful. I need to see this again. I have so many questions. I just want to go somewhere and talk about this with people.
Wow.
So that is, without having to overly explain something that might be unfamiliar, that is the beautiful thing about a story, is that has that space for the conversation to keep going.
No, it sounds great. I can't wait to see it. Let me tell you the truth.
Mm.
Josh, let me come to you. The character of Father John is drawn from the lives and the writings, as we learn from Jessica, of real saints. How did you approach creating this composite character? And were there particular stories that especially influenced you when Father John became a person?
Yeah, so the main concept was to write a narrative fiction film that hasn't really been done before in the United States. And I was reading several books and several stories of the lives of the saints. There's a book called The Desert Fathers. And one of the main saints that I was really drawn to in the certain amount of stories that would fit well in a narrative was St. John the Wonder Worker of Shanghai and San Francisco. And a lot of his stories that have been passed down were just so fitting for this humble character of Father John and El Tonto Por Cristo. And there's other stories throughout the film that we use for the other characters and their different arcs. And so anything that happens out of the ordinary or sometimes extraordinary in the film, those are all stories of lives of the saints. Most of the film that's fictional is just the story that ties the film together. But anything that you see in the film that seems out of this world at times is most likely a true story of the lives of the saints.
Josh, following up on that, were there any particular moments during filming or production where you felt the story was having a real impact on the cast or the crew?
I think so. There was throughout the filming, and this was never spoken. I never asked any of the actors. They were all very professional. I asked them to do their jobs as actors. But there was a sense of reverence throughout the entire filming of this movie that was shocking and surprising to me. I think a lot of these actors did a lot of research on their own. They're very professional SAG actors. And I was a little bit worried because, we're the theme of the film is holiness and forgiveness. And that's not really a Hollywood theme, so to speak.
No, it's not.
And so I think just the overall vibe of the film, these actors brought that to the set. It was not something that I had to say, this is rule number one. It was already implemented. So I think that there was so much grace on the film that the film would have never even been made. We only shot this film for 14 days, and the professionalism and just the grace of things happening that normally would not happen on a set. Things normally fall apart, and instead I felt like things were being built. Stairs were being built as we were walking up up this film.
No, it's beautiful. Jessica, let me come back to you. What do you hope audiences will take away from the film? And are there any conversations you're hoping to spark?
Yes. So, what I want people to encounter is beauty, truth, and goodness, which is Christ. Whether they know that that is Christ or not, that they will encounter that in this film
Mm-hmm.
just by coming, because it's a picture that a cinephile wants to come and see. We have a friend who is a well-known director, David Lowery, and he actually is somebody who said this is very Tarkovsky by way of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And just him saying that has intrigued people to see this that might not necessarily see a film of faith. And while this is not a faith-based film in the way that Americans typically see faith-based media, it is a piece of cinema. So Jonathan Pajot, he is one of our executive producers on this film, and that's something that in a conversation he had with Josh, he said, this is Orthodox, but it's not, but it is, but it's not, meaning it's woven with Orthodox imagination. There is not this message at the end, but you're compelled as a human. So that compelling, and then for those that want to continue the conversation, I hope that whether it's a parish coming out to see the film, that perhaps they have almost like a book club, like a film club, a place to discuss it, or when it does become available to see outside of the theater, that they might invite to have a community group and people, and they have an ongoing discussion about good works of art, to include film, to include this, and to include the themes that aren't spelled out for you yet ask you to participate in them. And I know for Josh and I, both of our hopes is that people will come because it's beautiful, and they will contemplate the themes, and that it will compel them in their own lives. And where that compelling leads, that's going to be between, their soul and God.
Josh, would you like to add anything to that?
Oh, I totally agree. It's a film that I wanted to make sure that, like Jessica said, cinephiles and people who do love artistic cinema are not left out of the conversation, mm-hmm. but they walk away with a conversation of what are these people, who are these people, and it's something that we don't normally see in maybe modern religion, is this sense of holiness that is private, but also the public can participate in. And that's something, and there's lots of moments in the film that it causes you to participate. It causes you to think about your own life. There's several instances where there's mirrors in the film, and those are there intentionally to cast a mirror on ourselves and to look inside of ourselves. So,
well, this is great. I congratulate both of you. As we know from the book of Genesis, we're all created in the image and the likeness of God. The image we can't touch, we can't destroy that, but the likeness we play with a lot. And that likeness hopefully is what you'll help bring back to people, that they'll relook at what they're doing in their lives. The most important thing I'm going to ask you is, how does our audience watch this film?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now we are wrapping up a theatrical tour in the U.S. for 2025. This started on October 6th. And we have our next showing San Francisco tomorrow night, which is December 2nd. And then we're in Los Angeles. That's our Los Angeles premiere, will be December 4th. And then we have two more. We're in Phoenix on the 7th, Santa Fe on the 11th, and then that'll wrap up the 2025 tour. We have some really big announcements for 2026 that haven't been announced yet for people that want to see it in the theatrical space. And this film was designed, it's an art film. It's a transcendental inspired piece of sacramental cinema. It is meant for the big screen. The sound design is meant to be immersive. It's not meant for you to check your phone or to be interrupted, which can happen at home. And at some point it will be available for home viewing. But but they can follow El Tonto Por Cristo, the website or our social pages, and look at the tour dates. We will have a digital theatrical premiere in the spring, so that'll be coming too. So if people subscribe to anything we do, we're on multiple platforms: that Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of those. They can find us and see where we're playing. But the theatrical experience is one that we invite people to make that cinematic pilgrimage. There's something very special. Like if you follow a band and they're playing in the town over, you make a whole evening of it, because that one time you're with your people in that room, having this one experience. And we've had people come from 2 hours or more away for these evenings, which has been a really, really, a really beautiful time together. So if they can see it the way that the director intended for it to be viewed, just like you might see an art piece in a gallery, it's meant to be viewed that way. It's meant for no distractions, fully present, and to be with the film and in the film. But if that's not available, please follow us on, even just go to our website for when we have this available for wider viewing. And then we hope that in 26, perhaps there'll even be an opportunity for international viewing as well.
Now, will there be a peek or a tease that allow us to see a trailer of this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So our trailer is on our website, which is eltontoporcristo.com. And anybody can view that there. They can view the same trailer on YouTube as well.
Okay, great. Well, look, OCN is here. It's a platform, and we're more than happy to promote the work that you are doing. It's wonderful. We know that Orthodoxy usually baptizes the culture that it enters. So this is an opening of a door that many people, as you say, have not seen. We encourage all of our listeners and supporters around the world to tune in and see the great work that Jessica and Josh have done, obviously with the blessing of God upon their talents. Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.